Hi, my name is JP Albano. Allow me to tell you a story of how I've got started in real estate from being in tech sales. I've been in IT for my entire career, 20 years at this point in time. I started as an engineer, did a lot of systems work as an engineer. Then I got hired to do a lot of commando style installations where I'd come in over the weekend and install a new email server or virtualization server. And then eventually I got a role selling large enterprise storage for an Israeli technology startup, California. Eventually that company went out of business and I was hired by a computer reseller out of Boston. I joined them as a solutions architect where I would help salespeople and customers identify what technology would be the right fit for their needs. I got started in sales as an account manager shortly after that. And I was fortunate enough to see a lot of success early on. There was a lot of limiting beliefs I had to get over about how I would even earn an income as a salesperson. It was a whole new identity shift that I needed to take on at that point in time. After working in sales for a couple of years, I'd been at the company for, I believe, 7 or 8 years at that time. I started reaching new levels of success, which created some interesting problems for me. It's totally easy to dismiss this as first world problems, and they absolutely are. But there's still problems nonetheless. As I was becoming more and more successful in my sales job, when I would receive my commission checks, I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed to see almost half of my paycheck go right out the window in taxes. And after a few months or a few years of experiencing this, I realized there needed to be a better way. How did all of the ultra wealthy people figure out how to pay less in taxes than everybody else? And it set me down this journey, down this path of trying to figure that out. And ultimately what I realized was that I was looking for 2 things. One, I was looking to pay less in taxes. But number 2, really what I was looking for was passive income. I think by this point in time, I had been in IT for so long that I wanted to do something different. But I felt like I had a set of golden handcuffs. I was making a good living, good earnings, but I couldn't go anywhere because I would take a huge income hit by switching jobs or going somewhere else. And so I realized what I needed to find was passive income. In researching passive income and how to generate passive income, I came across real estate. As you may or may not know, more people have become millionaires through real estate than anything else. And once you go into real estate, you examine all the different ways that you can make money in real estate. You realize, oh my God, there's so many different ways you can do this. You could do fix and flipping, you could do wholesaling, you could do note investing, you could invest in retail or shopping centers, or you can buy apartments. When I found apartment complexes and I understood how that business works by reading about it and learning about it, it just made complete sense to me. I realized that apartments would become this vehicle, this transformation vehicle that would allow me to go from tech sales guy to building a real estate investment portfolio that would generate enough passive income for me to offset my W-2 sales income. In other words, the real estate was a vehicle for allowing me to have financial freedom. And what I thought at the time was I was going to be a passive investor. I wanted to learn how apartment investing works. I wanted to learn how to find deals. I wanted to find deals, be part of them, and then passively invest hands off. What I didn't realize was my obsessive personality would get the better of me. I also realized that getting involved in commercial real estate was, for me, a breath of fresh air. I realized that so many people in this industry love collaborating and working together. And it was way more energizing than it was being an enterprise account executive working in New York City, slugging it out on the streets, competing with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. And so for the first year or so, I went down the path of learning how apartments worked under this idea of being a passive investor. I got involved as a passive investor in a real estate project. I invested $75,000 into my first deal. I went out to Houston, Texas to go meet the guys that were running the operation, to see the apartment complex, to make sure that it was actually real, part of my due diligence. And then I got involved with a real estate educational group, sort of a boot camp, but more so of a community of like-minded investors who were also trying to become real estate operators. I think I spent $15,000 or $20,000 to get into that group, to get exposed to that community, to get access to coaches and mentors. But I also was able to meet my current business partner through that endeavor. He and I both shared similar values and work ethic, and our skill sets complemented each other. Because if there's anything that I learned in apartments or in real estate in general, is that you cannot do this alone. It takes a team. Hell, it takes a village, really. There's so much work that needs to get done, whether you're a passive investor or an active investor, you can't do it alone. So finding a really, really good partner to collaborate with and work together on common goals was a huge, huge key to success for me. Now, during my time building this real estate company, I've now spent 6 years building a vertically integrated real estate investment firm. We own 700 apartment units over 3 states, and we've done over $60 million worth of transactions. Now, this didn't happen overnight. There was a ton of sacrifice. There was a ton of blood, sweat, and tears that has gone into this. There were many years of working both full-time as a tech sales account executive and also trying to build a business and also trying to build a sustainable, scalable real estate business, acquiring large multifamily apartments. I've sort of lost count at this point in time, but I think I've spent close to $2 million of my own money. More than half of that has been lost to deals that fell out of contract or we weren't able to close. Now, that's all my money, not investor money. I want to be clear because it's important to highlight and illustrate the personal risks that real estate sponsors, such as myself, take on when deciding to get into commercial real estate. I don't throw that number around to impress you. I do it to make a point that a ton of sacrifice has been made on the part of myself and my family in order to grow this thing that I believe in so much. I've invested in countless mentors, coaches, consultants, all to help round out skills that I was deficient in or lacking. Making the decision to walk away from a 7-figure annual career in tech sales to build a real estate investment firm has been a huge risk. And while I haven't gotten rich overnight, if anything, it's been quite the contrary of constantly reinvesting money back into the business, hiring teams, building out processes. I see the long-term potential of what we're building here. A friend of mine with whom I am sharing the story with that you're hearing now inspired me to tell the story that you're hearing. The piece that flipped the switch was when I told him how much my net worth has increased as a result of doing apartment investing. I'm a pretty reserved guy. I don't like flaunting, showboating, or bragging about any of my success. It's one of the reasons why it took me so long to get on social media. But I think the important point he wanted me to make was for people that are maybe in the technology startup space and understanding how if you make sacrifices early on, the investment is worth it. So the point here is when I got started in real estate, my net worth was approximately $500,000. 6 years later, 700 apartment units later, $60 million worth of real estate later, my net worth eclipses $12 million. Can you absolutely learn how to buy an apartment complex and become an active investor? Absolutely. Do you need to make the same sacrifices that my partner and I have over these years? Absolutely not. I realized recently what I failed to do early on as we were building this real estate business was to be active on social media and cultivate a community of investors, especially ones like myself, other tech sales professionals, or people that work in the technology space, and help them understand that there are better investment choices out there. You're not relegated to the stock market. You're not relegated to crypto. You're not relegated to REITs. You're not relegated to the narrow choices that your employer is giving you when you invest in your 401k or your IRA. There's a whole world of what's considered alternative asset classes, like apartment complexes, that offer a whole host of benefits for investors like you. I want to go back to the point about paying a lot in taxes. What I discovered about commercial real estate, specifically apartment real estate, was as a tech sales employee, investing in real estate, for me, not only was perceived as a lower risk investment compared to the stock market, but the wealth generation ability of investing in commercial real estate was greater in my eyes than the stock market. The returns that I made on my real estate investments were taxed at a more favorable rate than how I was being taxed as an active tech sales employee. And then by earning real estate professional status with the IRS, allowed me to take massive write-offs on my W-2 sales income from my passive investments in my apartment deals. Now, that's not something that everyone can do. You should absolutely talk to a CPA or a tax attorney. But the point is, those abilities, those features exist for you to take advantage of. Allow me to put this a different way. If you're in technology or you're in sales and you're earning a great income, that great income is really the vehicle to get you to a much higher place than you currently are at today. What do I mean by that? If you're creating leftover cash after paying all your expenses each month, that you're building this savings account, passively investing in commercial real estate, in apartments specifically, is a tremendous way for you to generate reliable passive income to offset your W-2 income and also potentially pay less in taxes just because of how taxes on profits in passive real estate are taxed compared to taxes paid on active income from your W-2 job. It's also, in my mind, less riskier than investing in the stock market. Plus, because real estate investing is illiquid, meaning you can't pull your money out 30 days after you invest it, if you can't touch your money, you can't spend it. So I know for a lot of us, not being able to touch your money is an easier way to force you to save more. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button.